So I just finished watching the video, and I thought one thing that was really interesting was the way that he defined social movements, because he did it so much differently than when we read in our textbook or any of the other videos we watched. And the first thing that he talked about was membership, and he asked, who is a member? And when you think about this, there's a lot of times in social movements there was no particular person that stood out or particular group of people, but we just focus on what they did. And so a lot of times these social movements do engage in more non-routine things. And this can always vary. There's things in a lot of the green movements where we do have members that stood out, or things like the civil rights movement where we have people like MLK that stood out. But this really shows how membership can vary, and there's not really any standard within social movements. The second thing that he talked about was salience and awareness to impact. And so this is a key part in any social movement, is the awareness to impact. But in things like the civil rights movement, where people were unaware that segregation was even a thing, and they were so blinded to it, a lot of times this can get blurred with salience. So people becoming aware of an issue can often be a part of cultural shock, not knowing that it ever was an issue. So it's not an issue of right or wrong, becoming aware, but an awareness that hasn't even existed before. And so going off of that, when we talk about things like environmental change and social movements within that, a lot of times it's the opposite way. Awareness to the issue is equal, and people know what's going on, but the values differ. And so some people will see the issue of products as a problem, where others will see it as a market. And so an example of this will be like in other countries where people are working to produce a product. A lot of people see that this slave labor or sweatshops and things like this are issues, but a lot of people see this as part of life and don't see it as a problem, but they do see it as a part of the market. And so that's where a lot of times the lines do blur within these social movements. So these are two things that I found to be really important within this lecture.